Welcome to Power Up's Ask a Fitness or Health Expert podcast, where we have a variety of guests that volunteer to share their love of health or fitness or products or services that offer some tips, suggestions, advice, and definitely opinions. But my honorary guest today is LaChelle Wieme. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If not, I apologize. But we're here to talk about skin. I love your concept, and we've talked a lot before this recording, but we're going to talk about skin, feeling confident in your skin and glowing. And I also love your story. So if you would share with us a little bit about your story and how to feel confident in your skin.
Absolutely, girls. So thank you so much for having me today. And I got to tell you that this journey that I'm on is not anything that I thought my journey was going to be about, but it is. And so if you can imagine, I am a wife and a mom a couple years ago and busy with my job. I was a nurse anesthetist at the beautiful, wonderful Mayo Clinic in Minnesota and loving my job as a full-time nurse anesthetist and part-time faculty member. So I used to actually teach for the Doctor of Nurse Anesthesia program, doing that 2 days a week and anesthesia 3 days a week. And I was in the middle of my own doctorate degree, finishing that up. And I was also on the circuit to do a lot of public speaking for anesthesia seminars that fall. So I wasn't necessarily like in the right place to start a business, but for whatever reason, something came into my lap and it made me take a second look. I saw that I got a chance to partner with two brilliant dermatologists, and I saw the fact that I could leverage their credibility and help me to bring in an additional revenue stream. But that's really all that was about. And I think that it's funny now that I look back on it because, Catherine, like as sad and embarrassing as that is, I wasn't a skincare person. I wasn't even somebody that took care of my skin. I didn't wash my face. And so it seemed like a very unlikely pair. But something just kept telling me that it's something I needed to look at. And I did my homework, decided that these doctors and their value system very much aligned with who I was as a person, who I was as a servant leader. And I decided to give it a shot. And I put in between a half an hour and an hour a night on this business in addition to all of my other craziness. And what I found was that within about 6 months, I was making enough money to actually cut back my time at the hospital by a day a week, which was amazing for me at the time because my daughter was 4. And before I took my faculty job, I had a lot more time on my hands, and now I didn't anymore. And I felt like what a gift to be able to have a day a week to spend with her before she started kindergarten. And so I just kept doing all of my things, being a mom and teaching and doing anesthesia and running this business in the background alongside of things. And about 6 months or so, I actually decided that this business was doing things for me that I didn't even know were possible. And I decided to resign from my job as a faculty member and devote my time to a couple days a week at the hospital doing anesthesia and still part-time hours running my business, but more present mommy. And it's interesting that you mention, confidence in this, because if I had to get really real with you and really vulnerable with you, I have to be able to acknowledge the fact that back then, before I started any of this and before I started to learn about how important our skin is, I don't think that I necessarily felt like I was worthy of spending the time and money on myself, on my skin. All of my attention, my time and my money went to my kids, or my time went to growing my ambitions career-wise, but I didn't take the time to value myself. And it wasn't until I started this whole journey and really learning about our skin did I realize what a real integration there is between self-worth and how we look and feel on the outside. And I've become to really acknowledge the fact that when we feel beautiful on the outside, when we feel confident on the outside, that's when we feel confident on the inside.
Yeah.
And when we feel confident on the inside, girl, that's when we can show up in this world. That's when we can put our best foot forward and do the things that are going to make the biggest impact. And so it's all connected. And now I understand that. And I am so passionate about helping other people just get into their stride and figure out how they can bring out their best self inside and out to do whatever it is that they're called to do.
Right. And you bring up another point too, is that you're spending more time with your family, and all of this, being an entrepreneur, being successful in your career, your children are watching this. Your children are seeing the confidence. They're seeing you glow and finding your passion in helping and serving others. So not only are you, finding this confidence in yourself, you're teaching it to your children, but also I assume that you have other people that you're helping and serving and bringing underneath your wing, and because you've got all this teaching background, so I
Yeah.
can
Well,
imagine that you're just brilliant at that.
it's amazing how God has been able to take my gifts, my medical background, and my passion to serve, along with my passion to teach and my passion to coach, and put it all together in a way that I can actually feel challenged and fulfilled, do all those, ambitious things that my inner drive needs, but also create more time with my family without sacrificing my livelihood. But you mentioned something that I think is really important to touch on, is the fact that I am modeling for my kids.
Yeah.
And this is really crazy. So a couple of years ago, I did a retreat for my team, the organization that I'm leading. And during this time of being with other women, it really came very apparent that we all struggle with our own self-image. And if we had to look at one another in the eye and say you're beautiful, it felt so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going home, and Catherine, I was having a conversation with my little girl, who at the time was 4 years old. And I looked at her and I said, honey, do you know that you're beautiful? And girl, she looked down, like she didn't answer.
Aww.
And I'm like, Layton, did you hear me? Did you hear me? Are you're beautiful, right? Sorry.
That's okay.
And she said, no, mama. And she just kind of like looked down and looked at me. And that like literally tore me up, because she's 4.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I'm like, Layton, has mommy told you that you're beautiful? And she said, yeah. And I said, does God make beautiful things? And she's like, yeah. So do you understand that you're beautiful? And gosh, I realized in that moment that even when they're little, we have these imprints in our subconscious that really dictate who we see in the mirror, right?
Right.
And really recognize that I need to stop any cycle and to really show an empowerment to her and the generations that have to come, in the legacy of feeling strong in ourselves and our skin, and being able to show up in the world. And now that I'm able to model that, and I can look back at my own journey of, number one, not feeling like I was worthy to spend time or money on my skin. Never ever showing up on Facebook. I think I had 200 friends when I started this journey. And if I didn't know your mom, like, you didn't need to know my business. And like, the only thing I ever posted was maybe edited pictures of my kids and the occasional inspirational quote. But now I am an audience just on Facebook alone of like 3,400 people. And I'm showing up almost daily, doing a live, sometimes without even makeup on. Like, the transition that this journey has taken me on as an empowerment from the inside has been something that has been the biggest, most surprising gift, and one that I am so excited to get to share with people that want to.
I love how you describe it as a gift, because it really is. It's a gift that keeps giving, and people want a part of it. People want to be a part of, some part of it, or help you or support you in some way. I can only imagine that you're able to help a lot of women in different phases in their lives. And I'm sure that you have some amazing stories and seen some transformations as well. And I'm sure you're making somebody else proud too. And I just applaud you for, reaching out and helping people. As we're recording this, we're kind of going through some difficult times in our world. So, I think that, you and I are able to serve so many people and help so many people. And I think that's beautiful.
Yes.
I do want to make sure that everyone knows how to reach you. We are going to put all your links underneath this recording, but if somebody wants to reach you and get a session with you and learn more about their skin and how they can become more confident and feel amazing and incredible, how would someone reach out to book a time with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I keep it really simple. So everything is LaChelle Wieme. So LaChelleWieme.com, LaChelle Wieme on Facebook, LaChelle Wieme on Instagram, LaChelle Wieme on LinkedIn. I have the Unstuck podcast with LaChelle Wieme. So pretty easy to find me. And I would be more than happy to talk to anybody that just needs some inspiration, because you are beautiful. And I want you to hear that from me, that you are beautiful, that God makes beautiful things. He doesn't make mistakes. And it's really just, how can we do what we can with what we're given and model that beauty to everyone else around us. And so I would be happy to be a small part or a big part in anyone's journey.
Yeah. And back to that story with your daughter and you going to that conference and saying, you are beautiful in the mirror. I also have gone through that task, actually. It's a session that was delivered to me, but also something I work with my clients on. And it is hard. If you think about it, you're like, what? That sounds really hokey. Stand in front of the mirror and look at yourself and say, I love you, or you're beautiful, or I have several other word phrases to use, but it really is hard. You can visualize doing it, and it kind of seems like, yeah, you don't want to do it with nobody watching and nobody around, and certainly do that, but it is really hard. And it's interesting, where that comes from. And I love that you shared and were so open and vulnerable and shared that your daughter, and you had that experience. And I think I think that we need support. I think we need people around us that remind us that we are beautiful and support us and cheer us up and bring us forward and encourage us. And, I talk to my clients a lot about, having people around you in your environment and your sphere that do bring you up and lift you up. People that are toxic or give you, negative vibes or any of that, you have to put some space between you and them. So I think it's really important and I'm so honored to have met you. I think you're incredible. I think you're inspiring, and you're a forever learner, just like myself. We're always, learning more and sharing, and got big hearts. I think that's absolutely beautiful.
That's one thing I do want to say real quick as we leave, is that skin and beauty is not about vanity. And I want people to really know that it's about being the best versions of ourselves. And that goes for our brains, that goes for our skin, that goes for our body. And so let's just never be settling for the current version, but let's bring ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. So
yes, I love that. I love it. Yay, that's so cool. You're incredible. Well, this has been great. Do you have anything else you want to add before we log off?
Nope, just thanks so much for your inspiration, as always. It's been such an honor to be getting to know you.
Yay, thank you so much. Until next time, I'm sure we'll do another one.
I think so too. All right, girl.
Bye. All right, bye.